Hi everyone, welcome back to RTS, and guess what we have today? Today we are going to introduce another new series that is happening at RTS for 2019, because remember I had said that we were going to have two new series that is going to happen all year long, and Kit Crunch is one of them. We already have talked about that, we've already started that, we've already played with that, so the videos will be linked below. And then the second series we have is something that I'm excited to share. And it's nothing new, it's just something I want to do, okay? I've been doing it for a few years. I haven't really talked about it in too much of my start to finish videos because I knew I would get a lot of questions, and it's not detailed, but there is some details to it, okay? And so I wanted to bring forth this series because I know a lot of us are in a spending freeze, not a year long like me, but even just cutting back in 2019 or focusing on what you already own, and then also to maybe not focus so much on supplies, but on the story. You know, I'm a big proponent of that. And then also to using what you already have and then falling back in love with what you already own. Okay, and that's what this series is all about, is using your supplies that you already have. Okay, and this applies to everyone, regardless if you're someone who uses enamel dots, or you use flare, or you use punches, or you use your Cricut, or you use your silhouette. It applies to everybody because it is going to be customized to you. Very simple to do, and I want to talk about this. And so for many years, if you remember back in the two-piece day, they would have challenges. They would tell you to use, they would pick 5 things and you were to use them on a layout, okay? And then they would call that, I think, use your supply challenge or something. It was that type of challenge. And so then one of my friends, her name is Marianne, and she has a YouTube channel called Barone. I will have it listed below. She introduced me to a challenge, and it was called Recipe Challenge. It was something like what Two Peas did. And she would give us a recipe of a few items, and we would use them on a page. Loved that. Okay, and I got to play with that with Marianne for a couple years, and then some other friends took it over. Loved that challenge. Is still one of my favorite challenges. And then in the last couple years, my friends here on YouTube, Jess and Katie, they had a series called Scrap Roulette, and it's the same thing as the recipe challenge and also what the Two Peas did. It's just different names. And so I wanted to bring forth a new series, and you're going to see why these dice are here. Okay, and it is absolutely going to be called a scrap spin. Yes, and so I have my notebook here because I have my items listed in my notebook, and so I'm going to talk about this. And so I'm going to talk about what this is and how you can do it and how you can set up if this is something you want to do. You don't have to do it with me. You can do it on your own, and you can do it every single time you scrapbook. And so I wanted to talk about this today because I'm going to start using it in some of my start to finish videos, and that way this will already be talked about. And so it's absolutely going to be called a scrap spin. And I think what I'm going to do is that if I do a scrap spin in my start to finish videos, I will probably also include them in an additional playlist called Scrap Spin. And I'll just do that for 2019. We'll see how it goes. If everybody likes it, we'll keep on going. And so the reason why this type of challenge is good, because you get to customize it to the supplies you own, and also to the supplies that you want to use, okay? And then also to, over the time, that if you realize you're using something, you know, it was chosen, and you use it, and maybe you don't like it, then it's time to purge it. Or maybe you fall in love with something you had and you haven't been playing with it for a while. So what is scrap spin? Basically, you are absolutely going to make a list, okay? And I'll talk about this in just a minute. You're going to make a numbered list of the supplies you own in your scrap space, in your scrap home, in your scrap basket, in your scrap tote, whatever that is for you, all your different supplies. And I have a couple other things that I have customized this to me even more, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. So basically, and it doesn't have to be in any order, it doesn't have to be in any great thing. And I would suggest what you do, if this is something that you want to do, I would just get some old scrap paper and start going from your room, from one wall to the next, and start writing down things that you have, you want to use, whatever it is, whether you already use it or whether you want to use it, whether it be your punches, your dies, your stamps, your Nouveau drops, your washi, your flare, enamel dots, maybe burlap, cork, canvas, all those things, okay? Now I will show you my list here, okay? And on my supply list, I have 88 items, okay? And so I will talk about and read what my list is, and I will do that at the end because not everybody wants to hear what is on my supply list. But this is something I've been doing for a couple years, and I just now transferred it to this new notebook, which I'll be talking about my scrapbook notebook coming up. And I just had to rewrote this, and there was a couple of things that I took off my list, and there was a couple of things I added. So if you absolutely want to see what or hear what my list is, stay tuned to the end of the video, and I'm going to read my numbers. I was going to type it out, but I'm like, nope, I don't have the time for that. So I will absolutely read it, okay? And so you simply, I have supplies, and I went number 1, flare, number 2, buttons, and so forth and so on, and I got clear down here to 88. And that was the supplies, and I put them in that supply category, okay? And so then what that means is you gave each one of your supplies a number, okay? And this can be as detailed as you want, or it can just be as simple as you want. It's totally up to you, okay? And this is a good way to focus on something that you maybe have too much of, and sometimes if you forget to use it, put it on this list, okay? So then how do you pick these numbers? Well, what I suggest is you pick either 3 or up to 5. Do not go over 5. Like I said, I've been doing this for a few years. And I think when Katie and Jess did their scrap roulette, which I will have their channel linked below, loved when they did this scrap roulette, because this is just a challenge I loved from the very beginning. And then when Marianne reintroduced me to it several years ago, and then Katie and Jess did it, they called it scrap roulette. I just love it because you're just assigning a number to your supplies and then you're picking them. And so what I did for a long time is that I had dice, okay, and I would roll the dice, and whatever the dice showed, like a 44 or whatever, but now you know I have 88, so the dice don't work once you get to a certain number. Once you get over, what, 66? Yes, the dice does not work. So then what I did when Katie and Jess absolutely was doing when they did scrap roulette, I had absolutely downloaded a roulette wheel on my iPad, and so then I would absolutely spin the roulette, and that's the number I would choose. But I just use nowadays, you know, make it simple for myself, and on my iPad I just use a random, it's random.org, and it's just a random number generator, and so the minimum is 1, maximum, and it says 100, but I would go in there and put 88, and then you just hit generate, and I would do that 5 times, and I would write down those numbers, and then I would pick those supplies for the layout I was doing. Now, why is this good? Well, of course, because you get to focus on all of your supplies, not all at once, but eventually you'll get around to addressing your supplies, and then it gives you a springboard and a direction to quickly start and decide what you want to use on a page. And just because, say if you pick 5, or maybe if you're just starting with this and this concept is new, just pick 3, okay? And then if those 3 items is not just doing it for you, that's okay, pick something else. At least you are addressing your supplies somewhere along the road, okay? Because, you know, we have so many components, it's hard to remember to all of this. I mean, I have 88 items here. How am I going to remember that? No. And sometimes, you know, we get into a rut and we do the same thing over and over and over and over again. Enamel dots, and then some of you, it's mist and sprays. I have not even cracked open this bottle of this Heidi Swapp gold color shine. I even have it in navy, haven't even cracked them open, haven't even played with them. And then also too, this is something for me, Nouveau drops. If I do not tell myself to challenge myself to do it, I won't use them, okay? But washi, all that other stuff, glimmer paste, mist, okay? So that is how you simply do that, and then you just use some kind of a number generator. You pick 3 or up to 5. Don't go over 5. It gets too complicated. And then you work from that. Do you have to use all 5 on your page? No. And then also, at least through here, you have the option. And then another thing you can do this for this scrap spin is I do this per layout, but you absolutely could do it per week. You could just pick five or six items and put them on your desk, and those are the 6 items you focus on. Not that it's the only supply you use, but you focus on those 5 or 6 items for the whole week, okay? Or you could pick 8, and that would be your supplies for the whole month. I don't know if I could play with the same supplies for 30 days in a row. I get bored. But let your personality and how you scrap and your style dictate how you want to do scrap spin. Okay, but you'll be hearing about scrap spin and some of my start to finish coming up in 2019. Okay, but I've been doing it for several years, loved it, and so I'm going to call it scrap spin. Yes, because we're going to spin the wheel. Download a roulette wheel. If you have under 66, you could use dice. Okay, like I said, I've been doing it for several years. Now, as I've been going along with this, and like I said, it's been several years, I have now divided my scrap spin into 3 categories. And so what is that? You'll see that over here on the left, I have supplies and it says main, and I have numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. And so the reason I have that is because there are 4 items in my personal inventory that I feel I need to address, and I don't address them often, but I want my focus to be on them. And what are they? Number 1 is stamps. Number 2 is dies. Number 3 is embossing folders. And number 4 is my lonely little slice machine. Okay. Now for everybody, it would be something different. And at one time I included these 4 main supplies because that is those are probably, let me see. Those are the 4 things I have spent the most money on. I would say, I don't know, enamel dots and wood grain paper. It might be up there, but my stamps and my dies, yes, those are the 2 items for sure I've spent the most on. And embossing folders, they're not too expensive, but and my slice machine. So I would call those my bigger ticket items. How's that? And those are the ones I have a lot of, and those are what I consider main supplies, and I have them in a different category. So when I sit down to do a layout, one time I'll pick the stamps, next time I do the dies, next time embossing folders, and next time is my slice machine. Sometimes I'm lazy. I let the slice machine just, I'm too lazy, okay? But every time I do a layout, I try to focus on one of them. And if that means simply rolling the dice or spinning the wheel or have a random number generator and have that pick for you, you could absolutely do that. I just go from, okay, I worked on stamps last time, I'll focus on dies this time, just those 4 things, okay? You can't do that with 88 items, but these are my big ticket items, and so I have them separate. And so then after I have worked with stamps, then I do my other 5 items, okay? And so again, I will talk about those in just a minute. And then there's another component, okay? Because some of you have already done this. You've already played with this type of challenge, so you're good to go, okay? And so it doesn't hurt to maybe revisit your list, because as I was rewriting mine, there was one thing for sure I took off the list. And it was new items. Because I've been on a spending freeze, and over the last couple years, my spending freeze has changed, I no longer consider anything that's new or it's old. If it's new, it doesn't matter if I bought it last week or I bought it last year or 3 years, I'm going to use it. I got out of that new versus old. And so I took anything new, I took that off my list, because I don't want to say, well, what was the last thing I bought? No, because really, it's not going to be anything great, especially for 2019 when I'm not going to be buying anything. So I took anything new, I took that off my list. Pick something new. I took that off. And so what was I going with that? I don't know. And then what I did do is in 2019, I got the Laura Whitaker sketchbook. So I made sure I included Laura's sketchbook on my supply list, because that's something, if I don't challenge myself, I can get into a rut and use the same sketches over and over. So I'll talk about that. Okay. And so in this main list, you could absolutely put punches in with that too if you wanted to. Okay, I have some punches. I don't have a mega amount, but punches is something else you could put in a main supply and put that in a rotation with your big ticket items, okay? And so you'll see in my list, I have punches divvied up. Okay, and we'll talk about that. So then the third thing that I have is I have techniques. Okay, now the reason why I started doing this a couple years ago is because every once in a while, well, no, all the time, you're watching inspiration, you're reading inspiration, and then you see people do something, and then you think you're going to remember to do it on a page. I always forget. So I started telling myself when I see someone do a technique and I think I may want to try it, I come and write it in my notebook. And so right now I'm up to 25. I just rewrote this not so long ago, so I took a few off that was kind of boring, and I was surprised how many of these I have been using. I didn't even know it. So even just writing something down, it stays in your memory bank. So you could do this, okay, because to me, techniques is different than an actual supply. Okay, and so if you want, I can absolutely tell you what my techniques are. I'll put that at the very, very end. Some people may not want to hear that. Okay, so that's what Scrap Spin is that you simply make a ongoing list of the supplies that you own, or supplies you want to use, or supplies you have forgotten about, or all three, and then you give it a number. Now, if you're somebody who wants to go ahead and put techniques in with your supplies, put your big ticket items in, and make one big list, you do it how you want to do it, whatever fits your process, okay? Because everybody's different. Okay, so that is what Scrap Spin is, and you will start to see that in 2019 in some of my start to finish videos, and that way you already know what it is, and I can just refer people back to this video if they want to see that. Okay, so that is a Scrap Spin. That is an introduction to our new series coming up here at RTS, and absolutely, I have loved this for years, and I will always continue to do this. And I know a lot of people have asked me, how do you use and how do you know how to use so many different supplies? Because I'm always using something different. It is because of my list. Yes, I let someone else do the picking for me. Yes. Okay, and then if you want to hang on, and I will read through my supply list, because you may hear something on my list you may forget you even have. And this has been a list that I have worked from and added to and taken away for several years. So I'll just give you my complete list, and you could use that as a starting point. And I would simply get a piece of paper, just start writing it all down. And then once you think you have a good list, then maybe put it into a notebook, okay? And don't put it in any order. Do not make it difficult. Do not color code. Do not make it difficult. Just give it a number. Okay, so if you want to hear my supply list, let's just keep on going. If not, come back, and I'm sure we'll be having something coming up very, very soon. Okay. So for my supplies in my main ticket items, I have number 1, stamps, number 2, dies, number 3, embossing folders, and number 4, slice machine. At one time, I had punches listed in that, but now when I started to realize that punches are used differently on pages, I split up my punches. So you'll hear in my supply list my punches, okay? Because I don't just have the word punches, okay? So in my actual supply list, which goes up to 88, let's just start reading them, okay? If you want to. If not, please just click off and just, watch something else. Okay, so number 1, I have flare. Number 2, I have buttons. Number 3, I have paint. Number 4, I have twine. Number 5, I have frames. 6, brads. Of course, my brads. 7, circle cutter. Number 8, oval cutter. Thank you, Pat. Number 9, paper clips. Number 10, thickers. 11, wood veneer. 12, chalk and inks. 13, felt. 14, photo corners. Yeah, like that's a stretch. Okay. 15, embossing powders. 16, die cuts hyphen book. And so that would be the die cuts that I have in actual books. 17, die cuts hyphen binder, because I have die cuts in a book and a binder. Okay, you can absolutely split items up. 18, border stickers. 19, specialty papers. 20, fabric washi. 21, bows. 22, doilies. 23, small alphas. 24, scoreboard. 25, washi tape. Why does it feel like I'm reading a bingo list? Okay, we'll keep on going. Okay, 25, washi tape. 26, enamel dots. 27, sequins and rhinestones. 28, tags. 29, chipboard. 30, embroidery floss. 31, perler beads. 32, nouveau drops. 33, stickles and glimmer mist. 34, fabric. 35, stencils and paste. 36, ribbon. 37, flags and pins. 38, stickers that's in a bin. Okay, and then 39, I have stickers that's in a binder, because I have both. I have stickers in a bin and stickers in a binder. So I'll stop right there. If you have one category of supplies and you have it in 2 different locations, put it on there 2 different times and list the location. You'll get to it. Okay, and number 40, roller date stamps. Okay, now let's flip it over. Let's take a breather. Let's go to the next. Let's see, 40, another 48. Yes, okay. So 41, flowers. 42, stencils and ink. 43, page map sketches. Now that's personalized for me. I love their sketches. 44, distressing. 45, stitching template. 46, a color box. And that's my photo boxes that I have color embellishments in. 47, stapler. 48, colored cardstock. Okay, now colored cardstock, why would I put that on there? Because that's something that I don't go for a lot, but I have a lot of. And so if you have a supply that you just have a plentiful amount, you don't use it, needs to go onto the list, or I'll start purging it. Okay, 49, burlap and canvas. 50, journaling cards. 51, a Laura Whitaker sketch. 52, color bins. That's different than my color boxes. 53, pearls and drops. Okay, and that would be my liquid pearls. 54 is edge punch. Okay, here we're starting to get into the punches. Okay, number 55, icon paper. Okay, and I'll talk about that coming up in a paper category. 56, my envelope punch board. Yes. 57, faux chipboard. That's something I make, and I'll have a video linked below. 58, circle punches. 59, cork and corrugated paper. 60, fringe scissors. 61, scrapbook generation sketch. 62, doily punches. 63, medium alphas. 64, word sticker bin. I have a bin just full of word stickers. 65, use white and ivory. Okay, now that doesn't mean I'm supposed to use white and ivory together. That is just one color group I have so much of, and I don't use it. So I had to put it on this list. I didn't put every color on here, just the color I don't use and I have a lot of. White and ivory is that, okay? So you could do that, okay? 66, a shape punch. Okay, 67, my crimper. 68, a corner rounder. 69, 6x6 paper pad. Number 70, scraps. 71, long border dies. 72, happy horizontal design. Okay. 73, the grid design. 74, the band design. 75, the block design. 76, the banner, the strip, and the L design. And 77, diagonal / triangle design. Now those last 6 or 7 are actual designs that I've been talking about in our go-to designs. I'll have those videos linked below. And that is something I decided to add in this rotation for a while, is that sometimes I'll let, if this is picked for me, then that'll pick the design I use for a page. Just another springboard, okay? Now 78, 12x12 paper pads. 79, a paper page kit. 79, paper page kit. Those are kits that I made that just consist of paper. And then number 80 is my knockoff kits. 81, my word sticker bin. And guess what? I have that twice on there. I have an 81 and 64. So I have that twice. And that happens. I've done this for several years and I've always seems to repeat something. That's okay. 82, anything metallic. Okay. And if metallic is something you have a lot of, you could absolutely break down your metallics. Put silver, gold, rose gold, platinum, however you want to do that. Or if you're someone who has a lot of metal embellishments, that would be something to add. 83, I have Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine inspiration. That's another sketchbook I print out. 84, my inspiration box. I'll talk about that later. 85, an embellishment jar I have. 86, October afternoon stickers. 87, alignment guide. And 88, my Pinterest pins. Okay, I decided to include that. I don't go on Pinterest anymore, but I still have my boards on there. maybe something would pop out. Okay, so even just reading that list of 88 items, I had a repeat. So what I will do is I will just white out this one that's a duplicate, and I'm sure I'll fill it in someday with something else. And so I kept my numbers up to 92. Okay, I'm hoping I don't go too much past 92, but there are a lot of components to this hobby, and I would just make more note on the back. But that is my list of supplies, and I used my random generator, and it helps me decide to play with different items as I'm scrapbooking through the year. Okay, now, if you want to hear me keep talking some more, I will absolutely tell you what my techniques that I have listed on here. And that may give you a springboard of some techniques you may want to try in 2019. And this is something that is ongoing. And whenever I watch a video and I see someone try something new, I put it on a piece of scratch paper. Every so often I'll come back here and rewrite them. Okay, so let's go for techniques. And I'm sorry this video will probably be long, but yes, it's all about using our supplies. Okay, so for techniques, what do I have? Number 1, paper tearing. 2, stitching. 3, die cut a title. 4, make a banner. 5, sewing. 6, stamping within my journaling. 7, distressing. 8, inking. 9, paint edges. 10, make a handmade embellishment. 11, use die cuts to tell a story. 12, use a cherry on top quote board, and I'll talk about that coming up. 13, title and journal block together. 14, stamp my background paper. 15, do a multicolored page. 16, large shape background. 17, rotate a sketch. 18, a mad dash layout. That'll be coming up. 19, a 4x4 formula page. 20, a mega title. 21, stamp on cork, burlap, or canvas. That's something I've been wanting to try. 22, scrap lift yourself. Yes. 23, background stamp for a journaling block. 24, I have a yo-yo maker. I have it listed here as a technique. That is not a tool because it takes a little bit of time to make. And 25, crochet on a page. That's something I've been wanting to do. So that is just a list of techniques. And as I rewrote that, I took some off that I didn't find interesting anymore, and some that are new to me. I just keep writing a list. Okay, that was a lot of talking. I apologize for that, but I know that when I was watching different people do this, like when Marianne gave us our recipe challenge and Katie and Jess did the scrap roulette, I was always wanting to know what was on everybody else's list, so I didn't have to keep thinking about what to put on mine. Okay, so if that helps a little bit, that was worth talking and listing those 88 items. Okay, so that is absolutely Scrap Spin. That will be coming up here at 2019 at RTS all year long, and we're just going to have fun. We're going to use our supplies, and you know what? Maybe save some jingle in the long run. Absolutely. Okay, that's all I have for today. Come back to RTS because you never know what we're going to do. Bye.